you prepare on the front end? What do you plan to do in the middle? I guess, what changes does that bring into your week of preparation, I guess?
I don't know so much about the preparation piece. Maybe the post-first game might be a little bit different. When you get into a game sometimes on, let's say it's a Friday, Saturday night series, and you're going through that Friday night, you do have to have in mind what's going to happen the next night, but not at the expense of the first one. And so you can do a little bit of that with having a day off in between. That might, if we've got some guys that are really, really going, we might be able to give them more opportunity to have some extended minutes, because there's going to be a little bit more recovery in between a Thursday and Saturday game. So different things that way. But at the end of the day, we've talked mostly about just what's going to happen on Thursday. Saturday will get here soon enough.
What are some of the challenges presented by these early season conference series?
Well, a lot of teams in the country, other than the ECAC, because they start a little bit later, are playing a lot of non-conference games. And so now us, in the 4 weeks that we've had, we're now to a point of getting into conference games. And anytime you're playing in conference, it's incredibly important for two reasons: your standings, which determine your playoffs, and then building your book of business. And so for us, it's about trying to defend our home ice, and getting off to a good start within our conference, so that we can potentially play in our own building come playoff time. So there's a lot of things that are tied up into what starting your conference play is, but I know our guys are excited about it, and I'm sure Minnesota is too.
I wonder if you can maybe get into what Logan Hensler's path has been just so far these 4 weeks. You've seen, well, I guess 3 weeks you've seen him play, but in compared to what he wanted to do starting the season, to get out there and to show that he was, he had taken steps and then to put that out there and to do that right away. How's he done that so far?
Well, I think, if you rewind the film a little bit on him going all the way back to the end of last year, he had quite an eventful summer up until when the puck dropped this season, where you finish a season where we were done way too early. He went in and did a lot of work in the weight room, but it was in preparation for the combine. And then right after the combine, going to the draft, being drafted in the first round, going to Ottawa's camp, and then getting back here and getting back around his Badger family, and then turning around and going to the World Junior Showcase. He had a lot of things going on. And so I think his first month has just continued to get better. He's gotten settled in. Once school started and being around the group that he's going to be around all year. And I just think his game's gotten better every weekend. He's garnering more responsibility. His ice time started to increase. I think you're seeing him play with a comfort with the puck that maybe wasn't there early, and actually defending in a way that's very purposeful with his stick, with his body, things that he wants to get better at. The other piece I'll say is I love his accountability. He's the one knocking on my door, not the other way around on, hey, can we watch some tape? And so, you still got to understand what a young man that kid is, right? He came in as one of the youngest players in all of college hockey a year ago, and he's still maturing, but I really like the way that he's managing it.
With as many newcomers as you have on this roster, as many newcomers as Minnesota has on their roster, is there added challenge of, you can't really go back to the tape from last year, what you all did, even though there's 4 games between you all together?
Yeah, we're breaking down what's in the mirror for us, first and foremost. And then they've played some hockey games, and that stuck to tape, so we've been able to look at that. Right now, again, I'm sure Minnesota's doing the same thing. We're focused on some of the things that we still need to get better at. And so for us, it's, our starts have been okay. We haven't been able to get to a full 60 minutes yet, right? So we've got enough chinks in our armor that we're working on those things, and we know what Minnesota's going to bring. They've got a really deep group of forwards. And, last weekend they had a few of their key players that were out, and I'm sure they're going to be back. And again, it's the start of the Big Ten Conference, so I guarantee you they're going to be excited when they get off the bus.
Coach, you guys the program hasn't gotten a win against this Minnesota Gopher team since October around this time, 2023, which I think is a cumulative 5 or 6 games. But is that some added excitement going into a big rivalry game, thinking kind of getting back on the other side of the column against this team?
You know what, I haven't heard the guys talk about that at all. It hasn't been talked amongst our staff. We're trying to really live in the presence because it's what's in front of us and what we get to control. I mean, I've seen that with our guys. Nobody's talked about anything other than how important it is to get off to a good start against a really good hockey team and focus on that right now. History, these two programs have played each other a lot in a lot of meaningful games, and this is going to be another one.
The guys that we've had score that chipped in a goal here and there, it feels like that's an important part of it, to get everyone involved, cooking in. I mean, when you go down the line of having 4 lines involved scoring, how critical is it to what you want to do to make sure you're getting, it's not just your top guys like it was at stretches last year, that it's a full group, at least being dangerous and getting chances from it.
It gives you more of an opportunity to be a harder matchup. And what I mean by that, are they putting either their top pair of defensemen, their top defensive line against one group that gets it done for you. And if those guys don't get it done, you don't have other guys on the score sheet. For us to continue to develop as a team, what we need right now is we need the Tassies, the Fitzgeralds, the Finleys, the Morrisseys to not have to carry us and have some of those young guys. And, Deering did it in game 1. You saw Montgomery do it this last weekend. As we can continue to, through the addition of the young players, with our old guys driving the bus, now all of a sudden you become a depth type team, and that's harder to match up against. You can end up actually having some good matchups if you've got 4 lines that can hurt you offensively without killing yourself defensively. And so our growth on both ends of that, we need our guys that have come back to continue to play the way that they have up until this point. I think there's still more there. And then continued growth through our young group up front. Because I like the way that our young guys are playing back at the blue line.
Hey, Coach, it seems like Jack Horbach had himself an eventful series, to say the least. Just what have you seen from him and his energy this year?
Good and bad. I think Jack would say the same thing. I feel I've got a good relationship with Jack. Hopefully he feels the same. There wasn't, he took a penalty that he probably would like to have back. Took his medicine, went down to the end of the bench, and maybe was just thinking about it. And then, got back into the game and made a positive impact. And to me, that's, at the next level, ice time is the biggest commodity that the hockey players looking to control and have the opportunity to be out on the rink. And so we've had a couple of instances that way that haven't burned us yet. But we've came real close, starting against Minnesota State and taking a 5-minute major and then a 2-minute minor within that 5 minutes. And then as soon as we get that killed, we took another. And we were fortunate to get back and get that game to even. But Jack's a guy he's still learning to manage, but he's doing a pretty good job of that right now. His energy has been positive energy for the most part. The shorthanded goal was a monster goal for us. And if you would have saw him today, he's got that renewed energy again. And when he does, he makes our locker room better. He makes our practices better, and he's an impactful guy on the rink when the lights come on.
You've been in this building when it's charged up and loud. You've been in this building when it's a little quieter. You have to bring your own energy. How big of a difference is that on the bench when you get a crowd that's engaged and live? And like you would imagine it's going to be when you see Minnesota in the building to make a difference on the bench, on the ice.
It definitely makes a difference. You can, and you're no different than I. You can feel that energy in the building. Our guys can feel it on the bench. Now I understand we've got to do our part, but when they're in the building, it definitely gives us a greater advantage. I think this place becomes difficult to play in because if we do something that's worth somebody getting out of their seats, they do. Our student session has been fantastic. We need that to continue. I thought on Saturday night there was a little buzz in that building, and we needed it, and when we went and did what we did in the third period and getting 2 in the first few shifts, that place was buzzing.
Yep. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Always feels a little different around when there's a Minnesota series coming up. I wonder, you've played a lot of them. When the Kohl Center has Minnesota in it, does it feel different down on the ice for you guys? Do you notice a different energy around in the fans?
I mean, this week is always a big week. Like, we always have it circled in our season, so we always just try to take all the energy and the atmosphere that we bring at the Kohl Center and our fans bring and just try to translate it to how we play on the ice. So no matter who the fans are, it's mostly Wisconsin fans all the time, we think. So we always just try to bring that energy into our gameplay and try to let it just dictate us on the ice.
After the weekend you had, a little up, a little down, how do you just regroup back into the following week?
Yeah, I mean, we had a pretty good weekend. We swept, so we're just trying to take all that positive stuff into this week and learn from our mistakes that we made in the weekend and just try to focus all on Minnesota and how we can get the job done this weekend.
Coach was in here before kind of complimenting how you reflect upon, like, okay, took a penalty, it didn't go well, sat out for a couple minutes. How do you process that? What's your, it happens to everyone. What's your process for dealing with that and then kind of dialing right back into where you need to be?
Yeah, I mean, me and Coach always talk about it, like, you just kind of got to flush it and move on. And obviously I made a mistake. It was selfish, and happily it didn't hurt our team, and guys got my back. So I just got to learn from it and move on and try to be better in the future. So that's kind of just my process with it, is just flush it, forget about it. I made a mistake. It happens, and just move on, and how can I be better to help the team?
It's a little weird with the day off between games and a series, when you're not traveling or anything in between them like you did last year in Chicago. But what do you expect to be different there? Is anything pop to mind of playing Thursday and Saturday, how that's going to be different than playing Friday and Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting for sure, but I think we're pretty excited for it because you play the game and then kind of get a day to rest, so we can go over what went well in the Thursday game and what didn't went well, and just kind of fix what we've been doing and try to better prepare for Saturday's game.
Who would you say is, when the room needs a little bit of lightening up, who does it? Who's maybe comic relief or someone that will get guys to relax a little bit?
I'd say Dexy's pretty good at that, and Schulte too, whenever he's in the lineup and healthy again. But I mean, I'd say everyone plays a part in it. Like, we have those 4 guys that are wearing badges, but I think our whole room is full of leaders and guys that we lean on in those situations. So I'd say as a team we're really good at that, not getting too down, but trying to stay positive in times that are tough.
What was the first Wisconsin-Minnesota game you saw? I don't know if it was when you played in or when you were on a trip floor or on TV or anything like that, but can you remember what you felt about it going into that?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of them, but my first experience when we played in Minnesota my freshman year was it was a different type of feeling, and you knew that kind of in the week leading up to it. But once you first step on that ice, you're like, wow, this is a different beast. So I'm just happy all of our freshmen are gonna get to experience, and like our transfers too. It's a different type of feeling, and it's just a huge game going into it.
Okay, thanks, Jack.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.